Hello, and we're live. Hello, and welcome, welcome, welcome. So we have today, of course, Tom. Everybody remembers Tom. And then we have Stephanie Whitson. Wrong way there, this way. Hello. I don't know my rights and lefts even in real life, so believe me, the camera thing, this is like... But anyway.
Just guess.
Somewhere around me, there's another person.
There's Stephanie. Follow one of these fingers, and you will find her. Anyway, Stephanie, surprise, join us to promote her book. We're on her book tour today. So exciting!
Woohoo!
As well
Yes.
as, we're going to talk about movies because it's what we do. Right now, it's
right? I originally came to talk about movies, but if you, I can talk about my book too. It's fine.
We definitely want to talk about your book.
Oh, we don't want to pressure you about this. We don't want to.
Oh, we don't? Okay. Is peer pressure out of vogue again? Darn it.
All right, so my name's Stephanie. I have a book. It came out today. You can get it on Amazon or any ebook vendor. It looks kind of like this, except it has a different cover now. The end.
It looks exactly like this, but different.
Hey, Stephanie, can you drop a link?
Oh, yes.
In the chat?
Yes. Hold on.
Aren't I so subtle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me just do that.
There today, and it's not me.
Yeah, we will probably be taking an extra break in today's chat.
Right.
Because it's not a great day for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me, I'm streaming on my phone, so let me just get the link and I'll put it in the chat.
Hold on. Okay. Whenever you're ready, in the meantime, Kat is here. Hello, darling. Miss you. Hello. How are you doing? Hope you are well. Are you doing
good to see you made it?
I really wasn't planning on doing Nano this year, and then Charlie inspired me to start watching the old TV show, the old soap opera Dante's Cove, and the first season is on Hulu, so I just jumped in, and that soap opera is so trashy and has so much gratuitous nudity that I found it very inspiring. And now I am outlining a fun little rom-com for Nano. So, hey, you never know where October will take. Let's see. Oh, Kat, thank you, sweetheart. Kat's got the link. Yay.
Oh!
Did you hear Kat's got your link?
I saw that. I can stop looking at my tiny phone.
Yay! Seriously, it's like truly who wants a wrench? Because I got too much going on. I mean, y'all should have seen me just a little while ago and going, why can I find nothing here? Oh, that's right, because I have ADHD.
So I'm actually going to switch over to my computer real quick, so I'll be right back.
Yeah,
okay? All right.
So Kat says, woo, Nano. Yes, Nano. So it turns out, because I always like to kind of participate in Nano, but the live streams, since there's more of them, and people are more talking about writing, and it's a very inspiring kind of community event. So I always sort of participate in Nano in an adjacent sort of way, like in a general writing sense, rather than, because I find sometimes that goals this specific word count type goal, or deadlines tend to be a bit of a creativity killer for me. I get too into it. I'm too much focused on it, and then anytime I fall behind in my goal, I then really am so good at beating myself up for it. So again, that's probably actually what's the creativity killer. Just say, 70's back. So, but this time I don't feel that pressure since it's Dante's Cove. It's absolutely trashy writing. I mean, it's so delightfully, no pressure to live up to standards. Dante's Cove does not have standards. Pretty
None
much,
at all.
If you're 7 years old, you can write better dialogue than Dante's Cove. It's wonderful. For real. Because I've taught 6-year-olds, and I'm here to tell you, it's pretty much on par with 6-year-olds' dialogue when they write stories. And so, hey, we all can feel good and no pressure with it. Although, fair warning, there's a lot of nudity. It's not necessarily for anyone younger than, is that what nudity looks like?
Yes.
Just in case for people to know. But I see, Stephanie, you have a little visitor. Hello.
Aww. This is Jack. Say hi to Jack.
Jack, say hi.
Hi. He's in a little bit of a timeout.
Right.
Because he was manhandling the cat, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's for his own safety, because cats will let you know their opinion about boundaries.
Yes, they will. Right. Definitely.
Yes. Cat says, I love Stephanie's son just slow creeping the book up in the background.
Right.
Yes.
He's my promoter right here.
Yes, he's doing a great job.
Okay.
But anyway, so like, unlike most nanos, I'm actually going to try to, I don't know if I'm going to keep up with the word count, but as much as just, hey, so I've been working on outlining using KM Weiland's outlining your novel and your the workbook, which the workbook is actually more helpful than a lot of people's workbooks. I have to say.
Yeah,
that.
Like if you want to write a story, you just follow this one book and you go chapter by chapter. You will finish a story by the end.
Yeah, I mean the book is definitely this way. Like, and she really reading this whole book pretty much converted me to the gospel of outlining. I will say that. But then, like, when I found out that the workbook had come out, this was a few years later. I really bought it just to sort of support her because I was so grateful for the book. But I have been heavily surprised. If anything, I might say that the workbook is actually more useful, at least in my beginning outlining process, than the book is for the first couple chapters. So that's pretty awesome. It's a really nice bonus.
Who is that
also,
one by?
KM Weiland.
KM Weiland.
Okay.
And if you actually search for that on Google, you can go directly to her website for this, and you can buy the ebook directly from her. And she also then gives you a bunch of bonus books, like outlining your character.
Character arc develop. It's really cool.
And they're all free ebooks that come with, and the ebook itself I think is like $4. Like, she really just wants people to get this book one way or another.
This is not sponsored or anything, just really impressed with her stuff. And also her generosity as a writer trying to help fellow writers with, if you go to her website to order it, instead of, to get the ebook, instead of going to like Amazon or Nook or whatever, she gives you a whole bunch of free bonus ones.
And it's not DRM, so you can use it on any e-reader.
Okay.
I actually like now using it. I used it with Google Play Books, which you can upload an EPUB to, and then it'll read it to you. And they actually have their high quality one is actually a very natural sounding voice now. It's not robotic. It's not as off-putting. So it's a nice. If you can't get an audiobook, you can turn it into an audiobook pretty cheap and easily.
Right. Yeah, the Google Play
books
audio reader, the audio voice I was surprised how good it is. It has really improved. Kat does say, as long as you write anything, you're a winner in my book. Aww. Such a wonderful coach. Yes, exactly. She says, I have those and I should use them. Yes. I mean, there's been plenty of stories that I got started and I didn't outline, but this one, I'm really kind of enjoying this sort of rom-com idea that I have. There's a bunch of cute hunk hotties in it, and some really funny, sweet older ladies who are French and very much hopeless romantic. It's that. So for that one, since I really am into it, I was like, hey, let me go ahead and outline it. So I'll really be ready to hit Nano running. So let's try Nano.
So are you an outliner normally, Lori?
In theory. In reality, no.
I love it.
So in theory, yes, and I have outlined several books or several story ideas.
And even done treatments for them.
And I've even done treatments for them. But most of them, by the time I finish outlining them, I am not that into the story. And I don't think that's the outlining fault. I think it had to do with the story wasn't compelling enough, because that was actually the reason I didn't continue writing it. Was, look, if I am not that into it anymore, probably readers won't be. I mean, maybe mildly, but, I wanted to, for my first real set of solid fiction books, I wanted them to at least be ones that I'm super excited about. All right, I admit it. I'm selfish. I want to write for me. And I want to be really into it.
And again, that's what we really like about Kay and Weiland's stuff, is the first steps are essentially, how do you make this something really enticing and interesting?
She really does coach through that.
If it's not interesting and you don't want to read it, why would anyone else? So let's first get this part down.
Exactly. As I said, she converted me to the gospel of outlining, because before I was like, oh, it's such a chore. And now I'm like, yeah, let me see if any of these stories are, strong enough to fly on their own, so to speak. Did I spy a cat? I'm just saying, show us your pets. Hello. Oh, with the little sock. Oh, a little mackerel tabby.
Look at her paws.
She's such a
I love the socks on the paws.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so adorable. And so understanding of the
Yes, this is what must be done for the food to come.
Right.
I feel like I'm a real writer now since I have a cat.
See?
Yeah, people write, but I think the majority of the writers I follow on Instagram or YouTube, they have a cat or a dog.
Right.
One of the two.
I didn't have a cat. Tom's passed away a couple years ago, and I was actually making a comment to Tom. This is more than a year ago now. It seems I feel like, especially with whose book I was reading, Rita Mae Brown's book on writing, which also is actually quite good. That she was talking about, her cats, and how there is a joke about, can you be a proper writer without a cat judging you while you write, so on. And I said to Tom, I was like, I don't know if I really feel like a real writer. I don't have any cats. And it was literally a week later, some kittens were born under an azalea bush at the front of the apartment. And we have been adopted by all the ones that we could not find homes for. Because we found homes for several of them. They were really sweet and gorgeous.
It was more of, we found homes for all of them.
On my YouTube, by the way, if you want to see, there is 2 kitten videos. Just saying.
Yeah, we found homes for all of them. 2 of them just refused to leave.
Get in the car. They would not stay in the car.
To say they throw a fit would be an understatement.
So those are the 2 that have stuck around, and those are my writing cats. They literally hang around my bedroom windows, and they keep all the mice away from my yarn. And we feed them all the smoked meats that we have. Because Tom has a smoker out there by the window.
Ooh,
but let's see.
Good.
Yeah, Tom's really good at smoking stuff. Oh, it smells so good. Dawdling Rogers, hey Jules. Hello. There is her hello. I did not want to lose track. So the movies we watched, I literally had to make a list because we watched several. But do we have to talk all about them? No, we don't. We can talk about whatever we want. I don't know. Stephanie, have you happened to ever watch any kind of Asian movies?
What do you mean? Would a movie be an Asian movie if it just had an Asian actor in it, or
more
what do you classify?
It needs to be dealing with some kind of Asian culture,
right? Preferably, with Asian director or at least Asian writer or something like that. There's plenty of, it can be for a Western audience, such as a bunch of Ang Lee's movies are specifically targeted at Western audiences. However, at their heart, they're really about Asian family culture.
Yeah.
Or at least many of them are.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I watch a lot of movies, so
yeah, absolutely. And look, there were some movies that Tom recommended that I'm like, I don't remember watching that. And he's like, you literally were the one who showed this to me. And so it wasn't until I rewatched, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I have seen this. I remember this now. So the ones that we did watch, just to like kind of recap for everybody. And again, nobody has to have seen these movies for everybody to contribute, because we're really just talking about storytelling, and a lot of elements in any kind of cultural storytelling are frankly rather universal, or at least some of them are universal, because family is family. Everybody's got family members that, you know, they love with all their heart, and other family members that, you know, maybe they duck out sometimes. Just say it happens. So the ones that we were watching this week were Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. That's an Ang Lee film. And The Wedding Banquet. Also, it's part of what is sort of unofficially called Ang Lee's Father Knows Best trilogy. Have not seen the first one in the trilogy, Pushing Hands, but it sounds interesting. Hero. Have you seen that one? Jet Li. It was kind of a big film. I love the film. That's the one. My favorite part of it is actually there's a recurring scene with cherry blossom orchard, and the colors of the cherry blossoms change depending on who is the narrator of the story and their feelings about that part of the story. So it's kind of essentially it's the same story told from several different people's perspectives, since it is a love triangle. And let's see, The Forbidden Kingdom. Okay, Jet Li and Jackie Chan. It's a delightful movie with frankly some interesting B-movie stuff. I don't really know why I did that.
So I think I watched Hero. Might have been a few years ago.
Yeah, most people
familiar.
Right, the cover at least is familiar to most people. Big Trouble in Little China is actually the movie that got us as children into Asian cinema.
Oh yeah, I've watched that one a lot.
We were like, look, even if like you've never seen any of them, most people have at least heard of Big Trouble in Little China, because it's a delightful, trashy movie. It's silly. It's truly fantastical. It's fun. So let's see what else. There's also Saving Face and Dim Sum Funeral, as well as Kung Fu Hustle. And again, several people have...
And they're all on Amazon Prime. All those three are on Amazon Prime.
So if you have Prime, or you have access to somebody's Prime account, it is definitely worth at least checking out the trailers, maybe watching it. I mean, not all of these are comedies, not all of these are dramas, not all of these are action movies. You know, they're all... It's really a kind of a mix, because we wanted to specifically talk about... There is a little bit of a difference in Asian culture storytelling that we don't see as much in Western storytelling, but we think there's some valid points here that anyone can incorporate. Also, hey, these are just good movies we're just going to recommend. We're just going to go ahead.
Yeah, that was the other requirement for us to have these movies is we're not looking for movies that win awards. We're looking for movies that you watch again and again. Hence, Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh my gosh, how many times
you can watch again and again. It's still fun.
Right? Yeah.
So when I first saw Big Trouble in Little China, I think it was like 1990 or 91. Because I remember we rented the movies, and I think it was like for like maybe Tom, maybe his birthday party / sleepover or something with some of the boys, and they rented Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Big Trouble in Little China. And so to me, in my mind, they always like, okay, here's the truth. Okay, so back to headcanon story. So in my, middle school mind, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles takes place in the sewers, and as a middle schooler, I thought, therefore, Big Trouble in Little China takes place above those same sewers, since sewers play a role in both stories, and it does involve a certain amount of, Asian or Chinese or Japanese, I don't know. Like, it gets confusing, but there's a certain level of mysticism. Okay.
Look, we were kids. We just knew they were Asian. There was a lot of, fighting with martial arts.
Right.
It was not guns.
It wasn't guns.
Except for Jack Burton or whatever.
Right. But there was like, there's wise old men to teach martial arts as well as philosophy, or a wise old rat picked with poison. So I thought these movies were related. And in fact, when Mortal Kombat came out, since there's a character who also like can create storms, electrical storms, I thought it was related to Big Trouble Little China, like it was like a crossover thing.
Which, behind the scenes, that the Raiden character was directly inspired by Big Trouble in Little China's character.
I wondered, because I was like,
yeah,
are they really? I have actually wondered off and on for decades.
Yeah, Ed Boon is a big fan of the movie, and so that's why he showed up.
Because, like, I mean, this guy's got this really weird kind of open weave straw hat, and he makes electrical storms. And it can transform, like, he can, like, not teleport, but, he can lift up and down through holes. And they both, I think, could do that to varying degrees, both from the movie from A Little China and from the original Mortal Kombat game that came out in '92. I did look at that last night. So I thought it was related, and of course, since we love Big Trouble in Little China, I was like happy to be involved or play a video game that was, in my mind, a crossover of that, because I always kind of sad they never had another Big Trouble in Little China movie, at least direct. So it is the movie that when people are like, well, I'm interested in Asian cinema, you've made a compelling point. What should I start with? And I'm always like, Big Trouble in Little China. Like, it's just a fun movie you can watch with kids.
It's true that, speaking of, love letters to Asian cinema.
Yes.
I mean, it is admittedly written and directed by
John Carpenter.
But it's, John Carpenter got the studios to pay for all of his favorite Chinese, Hong Kong actors and fight choreographers to come over. Because now that there's YouTube, every time anyone talks about, well-known fight choreography, eventually it will be mentioned Big Trouble in Little China, because, they actually made a film appearance in the movie. Because John Carpenter's just like, no, I want everyone to see who you are.
It is true. It is very true. Right. So, Stephanie, I'm just going to go ahead and say,
yes,
please feel free at any time to jump in and interrupt us, because that's how we are. And we know that. I just want to make sure you understand, like, no, interrupt. Just jump in there and just get in there with your shoulders like, this is my space at Loeman's. This is sale. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure it was abundantly clear.
What's Loeman's?
Loeman's, I don't know if Loeman's still exists, but it was a joke back in the day, in the 80s and 90s. Like, Loeman's had a famous basement sale.
Okay.
As well as, I can't remember, there were some other stores. But they would have these, like, 70 to 90% off all of last year's clothing.
Including wedding dresses. And,
like, we're not talking about, like, simple, cheap wedding dresses. We're talking, like, $1,000 upon $1,000. So imagine getting 90% off of a $5,000 wedding dress in 1980s money. Like, that's worth getting in there with your friends and having them help you find these clothes and, getting through the throng of people. So that was, like, sort of the thing. It was, like, Mom used to joke when I was young.
Oh, and there's no changing rooms.
There's no changing rooms. So you're either changing in public, like in the, like, where everyone and God can see you, or you're just like, good enough. And you just change. So that was like, there was this joke, because it was like, imagine gridiron football, only you've put all the teams of the NFL in one stadium, and now you need to get from one end to the other. And that was how thick it was on the sales floor. So, yes, it was like an all-day event if you went. It was people... Irma Bombeck wrote about it a couple times, and that's how my mom talked about it. Before I forget, hello, MM. It's lovely coming by. It's nice to see you. So I just wanted you to know, Stephanie, please feel free at any point to interrupt us, because apparently we don't want to put you on the spot, because that's terribly awkward and uncomfortable for other people. We're fine with being awkward, but we don't want to put that on other people. They associate with negative stuff. But nevertheless, it's like, but how will Stephanie know when to jump in when she has something she wants to say?
Got it.
She won't. So it's
Nudge
like,
in.
just get in there and just start talking over us. We
Okay.
will eventually stop talking.
Okay.
And with that,
Maybe.
I think we're at a okay, fair. With that, we're kind of at a good point. I thought we'd do a 15-minute break, give everybody a little time to maybe a bathroom break, maybe getting a drink, maybe getting out the pens and pencils and paper. I don't know. Obviously, you probably already fired up the laptop. I don't know.
It's still time for Preptober.
It's we are still in Preptober. I still have so much outlining to do. I haven't even finished casting all my characters. Still working on it. So, how about we do a 15-minute break? I thought today we'd do Laura's.
That one's pretty. I like that one.
The pumpkin candle. I thought that would be good. Also, I really like the look of the candles. Like, I haven't had candles for so long because I've had cats forever, and cats like playing too much for me to be comfortable.
We haven't had candles I haven't had candles forever because I have kids. And I have kids and cats, so who knows when we'll have a burning candle again.
Real. I mean, yeah, it's been a delight of modernity, if you will, that you can get those electric candles and they flicker and everything. It's like, yes, now I need you to release the scent as if I was burning it. I need the full experience without the worry of fire. Oh, I was so mad when I caught my cat, Andy, like smacking the flame, and I was like, like she knew she was immediately in trouble. She hid it for a while. I mean, because like it was right there. It was on top of the TV on a shelf, and I was just like, I could have lost everything. Yeah. So let's go for 15 minutes, and then we'll meet y'all back here. All right, 3, 2, 1. What happened?
She got her head stuck under the door.
Beep 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 beep. So, how do we all do?
I did.
I see Tiny.
I did some tracing.
Tracing a map, or for like bullet journals.
Yes,
Very nice.
I'm setting it up for starting for November, but like it's a lot of drawing, so I like sketch stuff in pencil, then I trace over in pen, and I can only do it for so long. Like I'm sure that once I get it set up, it won't be as time consuming. I'm hoping. Plus, it's a lot lighter than my other planner that I carry around.
Yeah, I've got a seriously hefty planner in the closet that I haven't used in like 5 years.
Oh, okay. Our cat. So we live in a travel trailer, and our door has a gap underneath. Our bathroom door has a gap
I have lived
underneath
in a
about
travel
that
trailer
big.
before. I am familiar.
Okay. All right. So this is the second time. Oh, do you want to say hi? No? Okay. This is the second time that cat has got his head caught under the door and stuck.
So my cat, Andy, what she used to do is she'd do this to pop the door open because the latching system, it wasn't very stable. So if she pulled hard enough, it'd pop it open. And there you are, just for the world to see. She was very, I guess, offended by closed doors. How dare you keep me out? Not that she would want to come in. She just wanted the door open. It's a philosophical issue, I guess.
That's hilarious.
So,
That's
2
hilarious.
times the cat's been stuck.
Yeah. Oh. Well, we were all watching a movie the other night, and all of a sudden we hear this noise by the bathroom door, and I'm like, Jesse, that cat has its head stuck under the door, and then it got itself out, and we checked and it's okay, and then it did it again. It, like, sees like stuff in the bathroom, wants to touch on the floor or like a light, or it's the only, I don't know why she wants in there. It's the only house or the only room in the entire trailer doesn't have a heater vent, so it's like so cold.
Right.
Because I haven't taken the time to go out to the storage shed right next to our trailer and drag the radiator, like space heater that we put in the bathroom at night when it gets that cold. Because even though it was snow 2 days ago, it was supposed to be 70 on Friday.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, what is the temperature like over there where you are?
So right now,
we were discussing that in the chat a little earlier.
Like, let's see here. Right now it is 44 degrees.
Cool.
It's supposed to be a high of 53.
Good Lord.
Let's see here. Tonight it's supposed to get down to 28. And then tomorrow it's supposed to be 67. Wednesday 69. Thursday 73. It got so cold a couple nights ago. It got down to like 12 degrees that are... Well, we have a heated hose so that the water doesn't freeze. But like it was making the water warm coming out of the cold water tap. So we turned off the fuse or whatever at the plug-in outside. But we forgot to check to see if it was actually on when the weather started getting colder. So it froze for like 4 hours. But I was like, it's not the first time our pipes have frozen from it getting cold. We're like, it's just part of living in an RV.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of life in an RV. Yeah. Ward said that they had 6 inches of snow.
I'm okay with last winter we maybe had snow on the ground for like 3 weeks. It was a very, very mild winter. We live in Central Oregon, so it's in the high desert. So in the wintertime, like we have a ski resort. You can see it outside my window if you look far enough, like close enough in the skyline, horizon, whatever. But I don't like the snow. Like I really don't like snow. Like I thought I liked snow when I lived in Oregon and Portland, and it would like snow like a little bit, and everybody would freak out in Portland, and it's fine. But then I moved to Reno from 96 to 98. And so we got there Easter morning at 9 a.m. and it was like 90 degrees at 9 a.m. And then that winter, which was like April, and then that winter, it snowed for 21 days straight nonstop. There was like 6 feet of snow outside, and you had to live 2 miles or more away from any school to get a bus ride to school, or you had to walk or take public transportation. Well, we lived like literally a tenth of a mile short of or a tenth of a mile over 2 miles. So we had to walk. I can tell my kids I had to walk uphill in the snow both ways because we lived at the top of a hill. It was not fun. It took us like a half an hour to walk to school. But that's when I learned I did not have a fan of snow. And I always said I would never live anywhere where there's snow. And yet here I am.
Here you are. Snow.
Yes.
I mean, it's funny what a plague will do to all of our
choices. Because last summer we traveled and we're like, all right, we're going to like come back, get stuff settled. And then like in the springtime, we're going to travel again. Like our plan was to leave like in March again and like travel.
Right. And I had watched a video where you talked about that. Like you guys were planning and then instead it was like you got to scramble to find a park.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we had traveled like, I think we saw like 8 or 11 states in like 8 weeks. That's a lot. Like we traveled a lot. So we're like, let's come back home, like get some stuff taken care of, and then we'll travel again, but go up north to like Idaho, Montana, Washington, go see Mount Rushmore, Minnesota, stuff like that, but not travel through the hottest part of the United States in the summertime. Okay. Because we went through like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada in like April through July. So
I have traveled on I-10 in June several times over different years, and I have regretted the first time I did it was in a like 1986 Volvo with the heat stuck on. Yes, like a joke. Okay. And I mean and it was just the only drivers were me and my father, or my father and me. And the heater had to stay on or the Volvo would overheat, like Volvos do.
Oh.
And we're on I-10. And I mean, like, you can see out on the highway, the waves, the ripples of heat. But it was nothing compared to inside the Volvo with the windows down and just...
So, yeah, we went through, we stayed outside Las Vegas for a while. And then we traveled through Arizona and traveled straight through New Mexico all in one day because we went on the I-10. And there was no freaking rest areas open. They were all closed, right? Because of like whatever. So when we finally get to one, we got to the Welcome to New Mexico Visitor Center right before you get into Texas.
Right.
Okay. So we went to that one and we got in there and by that point we slept in like several truck stops, Walmarts, rest areas. It's fine.
Exactly.
Like it's like background city noises to me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
So I get out. I'm like, all right, Illy, let's go. Where I take her to the bathroom, come back, and my husband's like, I filled out some water outside on the water spigot. I'm like, okay, did you look at it first? He's like, no, I think it tastes a little funny. I'm like, okay, let me see the water. So we get, like those water jugs you get like at Safeway or whatever. So there was a bunch of them empty. So he, at like some water, like rest areas, they would have filtered water spigots.
Yes.
This was not filtered. It was the dirtiest water I've ever seen in my life. It was like brown. I'm like, you didn't drink that, did you? Yeah. I'm like, you didn't let anyone else drink it? No. I'm like, yeah, his tummy hurt the next day. I'm like, I'm like, I knew
Tom,
not to.
Tom, you're muted. Sorry.
Oh.
He does deserve the line. Anyway, yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, I grew up in Reno.
Never come down to Mississippi Gulf Coast. Because there's a city called Pascagoula. You may have heard of it in a famous song.
Black, send it back. That is actually the phrase that I learned when I was 2.5. If it's brown, drink it down. If it's black, send it back. They're talking about the drinking water coming out of the tap.
Wow. Yeah, and when I lived in Reno,
it's not just dark.
Like, we didn't drink the water from the tap because it smelled like dirty dishwater, or it looked like dirty dishwater. Oh, clothes washing was another thing. But so I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, we're just going to travel to the Southwest. I know enough because I lived there in Reno, not to drink the water. So we were, I mean, it was hot, summertime. So we were just waiting until we got the next spot. He's like, oh, I drank some. Nope. Never.
I'm so glad you didn't get like a serious, waterborne illness. I mean, there are amoebas in those things. They can like really cause problems for people.
And then like the whole way across I-10, it was lined on both sides of the road with blown out tires.
Yes.
Like on both sides, like giant, like semi-truck tires, small ones. Just, I'm like, oh, please don't. I mean, we did have 3 flat tires during those 8 weeks or 11 weeks or whatever, but from April 30th until July 4th, we had 3 flat tires.
I'm just going to go ahead and point out the second time that I was supposed to drive on I-10, I said to Tom, because each time we've done this, it's Mississippi to Arizona, okay? The second time I said, there's no way in hell I'm doing I-10 again after I did it last time. I'd learned my lesson. Jeez, bless you. Because last time when we did it, and this was like, let's see, when I went with Dad, it was like, what, 1997, right?
Yeah.
It was 1997. Okay. Between San Antonio and El Paso, there's literally, at the time, there were no open gas stations. It's several hundred miles. Volvos, like we literally were coasting into the very first El Paso gas station on fumes. We were coasting in, and Volvos are really fuel efficient. I'm like, how do other people survive this? Well, apparently they bring, jugs of gas, in those, hopefully gasoline-proof containers. That is how other people do this. Now there is 1 or 2 gas stations that are open more often, but at the time there wasn't. So in 2009, I told Tom, there's no way in hell I'm doing I-10 again. So we instead, at San Antonio, we went up and over to hit I-20.
Okay.
That's when we found out. And and by the way, this was in December. Okay. December, it was like Christmas week in 2009. When we arrived in Phoenix, because it snowed up where we were at Albuquerque and so on. So we had to take this crazy canyon run all the way down to Phoenix, which that's something else because it started snowing and the cows were like, what is happening? Nothing means nothing. And they started wandering onto the canyon run roads.
Oh, no.
On blind hairpin turns.
Blind hairpin turns. Just like, what's happening? What is this snow? I mean, it was hilarious, except I didn't want to die. But anyhow, when we finally got to the hotel, I was watching the news, and it turned out I-10, on the other hand, had a dust storm. And it was apparently, what was it, like 100 miles of car and vehicle fires?
Yep.
Like, they literally were in a row because vehicles kept catching fire from other vehicles at a certain point, and 18-wheelers were on fire, and they're showing, like, helicopter recordings of this, and I'm like, oh, again, not sad that we missed I-10.
Yeah, because so much sand got caught into the air filtration systems that they couldn't get any air, and they all just started overheating. And the radiators weren't working, and it was fireballs everywhere.
With literal fireballs, including some tanker trucks. Dang. I am so glad there's new regulations, at least at the time in 2009. I know now nothing. But at the time, there were all sorts of regulations about tanker trucks, so at least they weren't actively catching fire. Before we forget, let's go ahead and see where we are. Let's see. Tom has posted a bunch of links, y'all. Before that, we are so proud of Stephanie's new book, baby. Just a quick reminder, the Cheers to Get is now available. There is a link. There is a lovely link. Please go check out her book, baby. And if you do happen to get a copy, please consider giving her a review. All reviews help.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And,
And 50 is the magic number. 50 is where Amazon, if the algorithms haven't changed. 50 is the number to get to for everybody.
And, if you read the description and you don't like it, like it's not your thing, please just share it out there with whoever else that would like to read a book.
You never know who might be into that genre, who might be into that kind of story or the hook or,
Yes.
Exactly.
I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone likes mystery, not everyone likes sci-fi, and everyone likes fantasy.
Exactly.
Not everyone likes kids, not everyone's the same.
Not everyone is the same. It's a shock, but it's true. Yeah. MM says, congrats, Stephanie. Yes. So, and then Tom started posting up links.
Yes, he
Well, I
did.
figured this way also people have an easy way to, when we're talking about this movies, to at least see, like, have
What
they
does the
seen
cover
it
look
before?
like? Yeah. Although, Tom, like, we can, we talked about sharing screens so at least people can see it.
I know, but my computer is not having a happy time pulling up a lot of this, so it's like, let me just post it here.
Well, let me go ahead and take this opportunity to just point out, again, if you happen to have a few extra dollars, or you have a friend who has a few extra dollars, my coffee account is listed below in the description. We are raising money to get Tom a proper working laptop so he can actually write and stream with us and do the things he needs to do.
Tom,
So just throwing that out there.
Tom, what kind of computer or laptop do you have? You can talk like geeky technical stuff to me if you need to, because my husband's in IT, so I kind of got some knowledge.
Well, the problem is right now I'm running on a 12-year-old HP laptop.
Yes.
I have upgraded the RAM to max it out of 8 gigs now. It's got a solid state hard drive. It's an old AMD dual core processor.
It is like beyond vintage, and it is now. It's not going to be resurrected.
I'm going to cry. Tom, you have an
And
AMD
Windows
processor?
just is not happy.
Right. So, I mean, again, we're not trying to just say, oh, please help us with our middle class lifestyle. That is not it. I don't even own a car anymore. My car died. We just have the one car now, Tom's car. It's just more like, hey, if you know somebody who maybe is middle class, who's got a few dollars they want to contribute to a good cause, where you don't have to worry about somebody being anti-trans or homophobic or, sexist or misogynist, hey, here's a charity.
Yeah, if they have
A laptop for Tom.
versus if they have any of those problems, show them Dante's Cove, because they're going to find a problem somewhere. Because Dante's Cove, to quote another of our favorite old movies now, PCU from back in the 90s, and the name of the band they came up with to get everyone to show up to the band is Everyone Gets Laid. In Dante's Cove, every combination happens.
Right.
They're trying to hit every audience.
Just to let everybody know, there's also a link for Each Ring Man Woman. It's on Hoopla, Tubi TV, and Pluto TV. The Wedding Banquet, Kung Fu Hustle is on Netflix. Saving Face is on Prime. It jumped. Oh, why do you do that? Like, it's literally scrolling. Dim Sum Funeral, though, is apparently only on, I know y'all call it Cinemax, but I grew up calling it Skinemax. And that's what we called it, because seriously, if you wanted some softcore,
oh yeah,
Cinemax was going to take care of you. And then DirecTV, although I hear DirecTV's fate is up in the air right now.
Yeah, they're selling off.
Tai Chi Hero is on Prime. Is Tai Chi Hero not on Prime?
No. Go to the next one.
Those two adorable twins. Okay.
The sequel to Tai Chi Zero is not on Prime.
It's on YouTube and Vudu. So I guess they only.
No. They're both free. It's free streaming with ads on both of them.
Okay. Well, that's something. Yeah, I love Tai Chi Zero and Tai Chi Hero. It's really fun movies. MM says, finished editing and posting the ghostwrite I did for a late friend on Inkjet. I don't know that I've heard about the story. Brendan was an abuse survivor who became a counselor and abuse victim rescuer. Is that the story or the background?
No, that's the person they wrote with.
Oh, okay.
There's another post she says about the story.
Okay. A ghost wrote Apostasy in 2016 because she and I hated the direction Werewolf genre was leading with the abusive alpha trope. Yes. Her story idea was her magic pencil. There's so much sweetness and love and a little bit of tragedy thrown in there. Yes, it does sound like a fun story. Yes, when somebody says alpha and beta male.
Well, it's just, the author who wrote the book within 3 years went, oh, I totally misunderstood what was going on in this situation. Here's the corrected
Wolves do
info
not
on
have
wolves.
alpha and beta males. That's not a thing in actual wolf pack culture. Tom also posted a link for A Letter to Momo. It's on Hoopla. Non-potable water. Yum. Taste
It's
the amoebas.
delicious.
Remember that in Tucson?
Yeah.
So funny story is like our last spot that we were at before we decided to screw it, we're going home.
Right.
Is we were in Colorado, Trinidad, Colorado, and I suggested let's go up I-25 towards Wyoming and hop to different rest areas where there's bathrooms, water, fucking civilization, right?
It sounds great.
Yeah.
It's perfect, right? Oh no, my husband says, I don't want to travel up the I-25. I don't want to go with all that traffic, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, the only other way out of here up north is on this highway 12. I'm like, so it's one of those. He's like, let's go up Highway 12. Highway 12 is the highway of legends, and it literally goes up the San Juan Mountains and around. So it like travels up into the mountains. So we're towing a 37-foot travel trailer.
Okay, see, that's what I was like going, wait, I don't like steep inclines if I'm hauling.
Like, we had sucky gas mileage on a straightaway.
On a good
let
day.
alone going up a mountain. And we ran out of gas, a quarter of the way up the mountain, a little over a quarter of the way of the mountain.
Oh,
Almost halfway up the mountain. So he wanted to go up and around and then come up on Highway or 25 a little bit further up, just like bypass Denver. And so I'm like, okay. So we ran out of gas. We found someone. They went and got gas for us on their lunch break. We had to wait for 3 hours. And then this guy brought us to one of the free camping areas in the San Juan Mountains outside of Trinidad, Colorado, because there's a lot of paid campgrounds, but then there's free ones intermixed. And he found a spot for us, and we stayed there for like 9 or 12 days. I want to say 12 days. And during those 12 days, we ran out of room in our tanks, our bathroom tanks. We ran out of water. We were down to like literally we were down to like noodles, butter, and like protein mix powder. One of my kids does not like bugs. She's the one that is autistic, which I just thought maybe more exposure might.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's why I wear long sleeves even though I'm hot.
She was so
I bet she was really anxious and traumatized with like things.
Well, she was okay with us driving around and changing. She just didn't like any of the bugs, right?
Right.
And we're up in Colorado. They kept on like these giant freaking like hornets kept on coming in through the stove, like this big. It terrified me, let alone her. And then so after a while, I was like, all right, we're going to have to start using outside as if we were camping, like to, do our business. Let's go with that one.
Yes,
do our
yes,
business.
Yes, exactly.
The boys are okay. Like they just pee outside, whatever. Like that's what boys do.
So
it's
nice.
Fine.
Yeah.
Right. My oldest daughter finally learned how to pee outside without peeing down her leg, so that was good.
It does take practice. It's a skill.
It is a skill.
Yeah.
I was not good at it when I was like 4 to 6 years old. Yeah, it takes practice.
So my middle daughter, she didn't poop for 12 days.
Oh, that's not as good.
It was not. I mean, we finally got it. And I literally had to have her sit on top of a 5-gallon ice cream bucket from the Tillamook Cheese Factory.
Yep.
And have her sit on it and then cover her head to toe completely with a camping blanket, and then we sing to her so she wouldn't hear any of the buzzing stuff outside.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm glad though that she didn't have to go to the hospital though, because I mean, not pooping for so long can be the problem.
Well, she would start, and then she'd be like, "Oh, there's a bee by my leg," or there's a gnat. But I think we were on day 8 when Camp Host came by, and he was just checking on us because we've been there. And I was like, "Do you know if there's any water source we can go around here?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, my camp host is a mile up the road. We were only a mile away from well water." So we drove up there and we filled up. I think we had 20, I think it was 15 or 16 of the empty water jugs, gallon water jugs that you get off the store shelves. And we filled all those up, and they held us over, and then it was so bad. Like, we all got like high altitude, like headache, stuff like that. It was horrible. And then finally I was like, let's just go back down to Trinidad and stay in the Walmart parking lot. If your money's not there, we're waiting for his social disability stuff to get into the bank. And then we were like, let's just wait, and if it's not there, we'll just go somewhere else in town, not up in the mountains again. We'll call it good. And then on July 3rd, like at 5:30 in the morning, the money got there, and then at 8:30 we left on July 3rd, drove up I-25 the way that we were going to go anyway when I suggested it. This is why I am always a navigator now.
Good.
Always.
Good. I'm glad you have been recognized for your intelligence and good ideas.
At least around here, where whenever I do delivery, I always in my head sort of laugh a little because, understandably, some women use male names on the delivery stuff just as another precaution not to get harassed or anything. But it doesn't matter what the gender of the name is that I'm delivering to. If there is actually good quality directions to how to get to their house that will actually get you to that location, I'm just like, yeah, that's a woman.
It's every time. Every time. Tom has been checking, and he's like, every single time the directions are clear, concise, they get me exactly where I need to go. A woman is the one who placed the order. Every time.
Yeah, so we went up I-25, went to Wyoming, and then took headed east, like towards like Idaho, and we stopped at a Rock Springs Walmart, stayed the night there, and then July 4th we left at 6:30 and made it into town where we're at now at 9 o'clock at night on July 4th. It was 24.5 hours of driving in 2 days. And then on that last stretch home on July 4th, we got our third flat tire. That's when we decided we're done. We're just the universe is telling us to stay put.
Yeah. It's rough though. It's still rough.
Yeah. It was fun. And we've learned the next time we go traveling, the next time we go traveling, we're gonna stay in one spot for longer than a day at a time. We're gonna
yeah, kind of experience
stuff, and maybe buy camping pass to have a discount at actual RV parks every once in a while.
Oh yeah, I've really thought about what is that one that does the RV parks or the other camp?
There's
ROA
one
or something OA.
Oh, KOA. That one. That one's good.
Just because they have so many, and you can get a pass for all of them.
There's this other one called 1,000 Trails. Have you heard of that one?
I haven't. So look, while we're talking about camping, I know it has literally nothing to do with Asian cinema, and I don't care. I grew up watching that National Park Service documentary series that Ken Burns did. Okay. And I fell in love with, the national parks out west from this documentary series. And I've always wanted to go. But I have learned the hard way. I absolutely despise tent camping. I'm not a tent camper. It's not who I am. However, a lot of the National Park Service now, most of the campsites, not every one of them, but most of them will allow you to at least get a car in. And Tom and I have done a bunch of research and found out that if you have a Yaris or a Prius hybrid, it is very comfortable camping, for two people to sleep in the back, and you can have a CPAP, because Tom has a CPAP. So it's very comfortable to do it. I require air conditioning and heating. I don't really require heating as much, but the bug thing is not.
And the hybrid Yaris runs on 1/10 of a gallon of gas per hour to keep the inside air conditioned.
And it will sleep two people who are over 6 feet tall very comfortably. And then you can still have smaller people up front, sleeping in the bucket seats, because they still go back pretty far. I know that several people have said they could sleep 4 children comfortably in the back instead of 2 adults. So there's a fair amount of room. Gotcha. And that is my goal, is to go out in a Yaris or a Prius. Tom has a Yaris. But my goal is to one day sell enough books that I can buy a used Prius. And also so that when hurricanes, because we are an hour away from the Gulf Coast.
Okay.
We were literally directly in the path of Hurricane Katrina. A lot of people think it hit Louisiana. No, it hit Mississippi head on. But Louisiana was on the wrong side, and they got a lot of the strong winds as well as where we were. We had 80% tree damage in Mississippi up the path. And so we didn't have electricity for over 2 weeks after Katrina hit, and that was a whole load of suck. So to be able to sleep in a Prius every night while waiting for electricity to turn on sounds like a much better option than all the other options that are available. So that is my medium-term goal for writing, is to be able to use hybrid Prius. And that's the goals. But MM says southeastern corner of Colorado has the worst water anywhere, and that is hot springs. Be prepared for the sulfur stank. Yeah, guess what? Western Alabama also has a lot of sulfur springs. They will knock you back.
Oh, she's sleeping. Leave the cat alone.
Tom put a link in for Along with the Gods, the Two Worlds on Hulu. I don't know that we talked about those.
We haven't. I've mentioned it to you before, but we didn't talk about it this week. It's a Korean movie that takes place in the afterlife, as they essentially try to get this soul reincarnated and show they're worthy, but they have to go through all these trials, and you get these death gods that go with you to help you along the way. Yeah. It's a surprisingly interesting and fun one. There's also a sequel, but I was trying to include also a few other movies that we may not talk about on the show, but are also ones I definitely recommend for just, they're entertaining and they're a different type of storytelling. They're not American storytelling. Exactly.
MM says, I've seen that on I-45 in Texas and on I-20 West, yeah. Also says, wolf packs aren't anything like werewolf culture. It is ridiculous. Colorado 12 goes up from 9,000 feet. Oh.
God. Whew. That's too much when you are pulling a trailer.
Right. Evan says you can stay in the free camp areas of the San Juan Mountains for 14 days.
That's pretty nice.
That's nice. I-25 has some really nice rest areas, but they are all closed now because of COVID. I mean, I understand a plague is a plague. It's, still. Colorado parks are $50 to $79 a night. Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, they are not. We tried getting into some, like, looking online for, like, RV park or even campgrounds, and you had to buy, like, a state park pass thing, and then, like, reserve, like, days ahead of time, and we're like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of being spontaneous while you're camping out, And plus, we were driving around in the summertime, so everything's going to be booked anyway.
Right. Well, there's that. But yeah, like, and they're saying it's all online through Colorado Parks and Wildlife. You can't go for the weekend. That just sounds. And yes, it looks like it's headed directly for Mississippi so far.
Again,
it tends to veer, but every once in a while, like Katrina, it just takes a beeline straight up. Pretty much straight up Highway 49 in Mississippi. And that's exactly what Katrina did, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
But yeah.
And then it took 59, and then at our town, it took 59 up at an angle up to Alabama.
Yeah, it hit Meridian. It went.
Yep.
So where we live is sort of like a hub. And so there's all these highways that meet in our town, our city. From all over the South. And instead of it going straight up, it then went off to the side. And it went to Meridian and into Alabama up to the foothills of the Appalachians, if I recall correctly. I did not have electricity or news at that point, but I heard from other people.
Yes.
Like, I have not watched the Katrina documentaries because I was there. The PTSD is strong. I'm good. Also, nobody prepares you for the love bugs.
I love bugs.
Yeah, like they're called
June
love.
bugs.
Oh, okay. I know what June bugs are.
Yeah, like they're also called stink bugs. Hmm. They live on decomposing wood. So guess what? There was a whole lot of decomposing wood real quickly.
Right.
And like you could literally be standing there talking to somebody else a couple feet away, and you would get these bugs in your mouth. There were so much swarming. It was awful. Normally they are not like that, even during love bug seasons, because there's usually two to three seasons a year. Because the wood, when it gets wet, it starts decomposing, right? And the love bugs make sweet bug love. I don't know. And you can drive through some swarms on the highway, and so it'll literally take the paint off of your car. It'll chip your finish off. But I mean, that's not so bad, like as a human. But yes, they will constantly land on you and stuff after a hurricane because they're making whoopee. I guess is what I'm gonna say. So anyhow, and on that note, how about we do another 15-minute sprint? How you feeling, Tom?
I'm feeling all right.
Should we do another sprint?
Yeah, well, let's get one in real quick.
Okay, Camille's got a 15-minute Halloween timer. So, I mean, like, I have to admit, I'm feeling Halloweeny.
It is
So
that
how
month.
about? I mean, it's the 1 month of the year. So, how about we just enjoy these goofy gourds and we do a little sprinting? Okay, are we ready? In 3, 2, 1, sprint! beep, 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 beep. How did everyone do?
So, what I'm doing is I have like a random name picker pulled up on another tab on my computer, and I'm putting in everyone that's commented or liked or shared my post about my book. I should have been doing it like making a list at the end of each day, because there's a lot. Because it's like 7 days
I
worth.
can imagine.
Because
Yes.
I was like starting on this day forward.
Yeah.
And I cut it the times it's done. Like no more commenting or sharing is allowed after this time now. But yeah, like on some days, like people liked or commented on it like 33 times. And so each time you comment, each time, and I said each time you comment or share or you like the post, you'll be entered in. So like if someone does it 7 times throughout the week, one post each day, that's 7 times for just one person. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I do that without like me like literally writing down each name on a piece of paper and drawing it out of a hat? You know what I mean?
One way to do it. Yep.
I don't like what other I don't know what other way I could do like a random name picker thing. I mean, it'd be great if it was like you could just plug it in and connect it to your account, like an app or something.
I've seen randomizers that like you can put. Some people put like someone's name, say however many times in a spreadsheet, and then the randomizer picks that. So like some people say somebody's name's Fred and they did the 7 comments, over 7 days. So it'll be Fred, 7 times, and then it's, maybe Jane only once because she only put 1 comment, and so on. And then the randomizer just picks based on all of that.
Okay.
So like every time they, do what qualifies as an entry, they get 1 entry. So, and then the randomizer just picks. So some people obviously had more entries. So sort of like raffle tickets.
Yeah, I found this one. It's called commentpicker.com, and you can you enter in the names, separate by a comma, and I didn't know this till right now, but you could have it all in a text file and just upload the file, and it'll pull it off the file for you.
That's nice.
Which, if I ever do this again, I will do it that way.
Well, we're all learning with you.
Fine. It's all fine. Okay? Totally fine.
At first, I completely misunderstood you. Because something Gloria and I were talking about yesterday. I thought you had meant, random name generator.
Oh, yeah.
And
I with random name generators for this outline.
And I was telling her, after I looked up the main actress in Saving Face, I was looking at her, all her roles, and it had the names of the characters she played in each of these roles. And after looking through that list, I'm looking back at Gloria and just stop worrying so much about the names for your characters.
Yeah.
Compared to Hollywood, you are so creative and also not racist in your naming of people.
Well, he's trying not to be. One of the side characters inadvertently ended up with the initials BLM. I'm sticking with it. I don't care. I'm like, I like it. Yes, let there be subtext here. I don't care. Yeah. So, Tom, what did you do?
I relaxed.
Hit up about pregnant goats.
Yes, I also then just looked up them, and her goats really do have the tiniest ears.
Oh, I have to go see these pictures now. Okay.
Yeah, La Mancha goats really do have the tiniest ears. I was trying to upload something and then just gave up with it today. I'll do it later when we aren't all chatting because it just takes up most of the computer. And then debated whether to add one last movie to this list.
And you know what? Let's do it.
Because it is... I saw it years ago when it came out. It's a Korean movie, which automatically tells you it's going to be a weird movie. They are the best at weird horror.
So you have not added it. This is
No. It's called Save the Green Planet.
Oh yes, you've been trying to get me to watch this. I know it sounds.
And I was just reading through the synopsis of it.
Right.
And the best way I can summarize this is, at the time it came out, no one had the interest they have now in serial killers.
Sure.
But I want you to imagine someone attempting to make an original serial killer horror movie comedy. Yes.
You know what? It already sounds like a train wreck, and I'm here for that. So I guess I'm going to catch up on that. And okay.
And he is truly delusional, and he thinks the leaders of businesses and politicians are reptilian aliens, and so he is literally filming and torturing them to confess. Now, try to figure out where the comedy comes in.
I don't even know.
Yeah, it is such a train wreck. It's an experience.
It does sound like a train wreck. Okay, so while we and what I was doing was I couldn't think of much more. I was working on the what is unexpected section of the workbook.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm apparently not really good at figuring out what is unexpected in a rom-com. Okay, other than that everybody's terrible. It's unexpected that like the female lead will be a terrible person. Frankly, it's unexpected that she'll end up with the bad love interest.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I moved on. So because like I essentially just tabled it. I moved on to the 2-sentence premise. So that's what I am working on now, is figuring out my 2-sentence premise. I'm deep in that. Moving on. So while we did that, MM went to check on the pregnant goats. Tom wanted to find out where will these pictures be posted of baby goats and what breed are they. And it will be on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. And then you said, what is the breed? What was it?
La Mancha.
La Mancha. So they're Spanish?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they're theorized to be Spanish.
Look, I'm open. I am not the goat police. I don't care. I just am curious. Charlie's here. Hey, darling. How are you? How's the hubby's birthday? Summoned by the beep and the beep. Oh yeah, and said La Mancha goat. I'm sorry, I'm obviously having a bit of a can't read day. No babies yet, but has to keep checking because of when the weather changes. Yes, I have heard that actually for a lot of pregnant creatures, like humans. There's a lot down here where it is like hurricane country. There's a lot of stories about babies being born during hurricanes and directly after hurricanes, and that is not the time when you want to have a baby, when there's no electricity or, potable water. So, because if the electricity goes out, it means none of the water is being properly cleaned anymore, so. And now a need for dry socks. Let me tell you, it turns out I have a weakness, and it's called wet socks. Like, everything else in me can be sopping wet, but if my socks are wet, that's it. I am freaking done. I am done with the world.
Your will to live really drops fast.
What is that about? I don't know. But,
I don't like it.
What?
I don't like it when my feet get cold. Once my feet are cold, I'm done. I don't want to do anything else.
I mean, I can, soldier through if my feet get cold. I don't like it. But I can soldier through, but when I have sopping wet socks, I'm like, this is it. The world can burn for all I care. And I just slop away. I just done. Charlie says the audio came out good, so we should have an episode one up by Thursday because Tom and Charlie have a little podcast baby they've been working on. And I only overheard what they were talking about from the other end down the hall. But it sounded good what I heard. Tom did post the link for Save the Green Planet if anyone else is interested in what sounds like a rolling trash fire of a movie. Of course,
But apparently classy. It's a classy trash fire. It's part of the Criterion Collection.
Was like, please, yes. So, hey, apparently it has something. And MM's working on ham and navy bean soup for dinner. That sounds delicious. I'll be over later. Fearless goats, oh my lord, I'm gonna have to look at pictures. Okay. Yes, we do that. Let's see. The hubby is watching his action movies, and Charlie is making their project announcement video. Okay. All right. So let's actually get back for a minute and continue to talk about. We've talked about Big Trouble in Little China, and frankly, slightly to a lesser degree, we have mentioned Forbidden Kingdom. No, Forbidden Kingdom.
Yes, the Forbidden Kingdom.
As well as Hero. Have talked about, seriously, if you are a bit of a poetic romantic at heart, you're going to love Hero, okay? At least you're probably going to love Hero. Visually...
It is just visually gorgeous. Like, if you just...
need to have the sound on to appreciate this movie. It is so beautiful. And also there's... Oh, the thing with the candles to tell you when the the warlord, the kingdom, whatever, he's under threat. Oh, that's really fascinating because it's sort of a Sherazade type. I will tell you a story, and you can try to figure out who is safe and who isn't in this story. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Ong Lee.
As I say, should we talk about Ong Lee? And now that we've watched actually several other movies, not just Ong Lee, the Taiwanese beat sheet.
There should be, which Tom, I'm really hoping you will make it, since I could not find it online. Nobody has a Taiwanese storytelling beat sheet, but there is why is it in the third act there needs to be, a rush to the hospital?
And in the first act, in the middle to the end of the first act, someone gets pregnant. They're really following the Taiwan. They really follow this Confucius idea of keeping everything equal. So we have the beginning of life at the beginning of the story, and we have life ending at the end of the story in all of these stories.
But it's nice because it's kind of predictable, so I know what's happening, so I know what to expect. It's nice. I mean, a lot of these Ong Lee stories, it's specifically Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, and The Wedding Banquet, for instance. But also there's Saving Face followed a very similar beat of, it's sort of the Confucius family style of, let's say, domestic politics in conflict with, the younger generation trying to live a more modern lifestyle with more modern ideals, maybe a bit more individualistic, and whether that has to do with coming out to one's family, that they're, let's say, at least queer in some way. Because, Saving Face is about two of the characters are at least in a lesbian type relationship. I don't know that they're both actually lesbian. I don't remember if they actually say that, but one of them does say she's a lesbian.
Yeah.
And versus in The Wedding Banquet, spoiler, there's some gorgeous gay flesh. Enjoy.
Although even in the what do you call it?
It's freaking fantastic.
In the description, though, even for The Wedding Banquet, it actually says one of the characters is bi.
Well, yeah, the Taiwanese son, he's bisexual, but his boyfriend/husband, however you want to it was the 90s, so our interpretation would change a little bit now.
Yeah.
If they've been living together for so many years, they're at least common law husbands to us.
They're together at least 8 years or 10 to 12 years. They've been together a long time.
But nevertheless, because the other one, the non-Taiwanese guy, I think he does. I want to say he says gay rather than bisexual.
Yeah, he says he's gay.
So, I mean, you can have, two men in a relationship and one's bisexual and one's gay. And, of course, this complexity, they're just you know what, we're just not, it's the early 90s, we're not going to go into that too much. But, nevertheless, it's really about younger people trying to live a more modern lifestyle and but budding up, loving their older family who is still following a more Confucius lifestyle or domestic situation, and that sort of how do people find that happy middle ground so they can all like continue to talk to each other and have meals and love each other.
Because I mean, the characters do all love each other.
Oh, they do, and I do.
They
That's
do.
What I love about these is everybody loves each other, even when they obviously have some major blind spots.
Although I have to say, what was it? Was it the Wedding Banquet? I think where I was joking about the Wedding Banquet shows how you can write a story where all the characters but one are very functional people. Yeah. They are all lovely people. I would love to know all of these characters, but for one single character that just throws so much drama and wrenches into this because they don't want to face reality.
And that's essentially what happens in the Wedding Banquet. It's the Tiwanese son who's a yuppie type character.
Oh, yes.
And he doesn't want to be honest. He doesn't want to try to forge a way to be honest about who he is with his parents. And therefore, conflict. So much conflict. See, but that's really interesting from a writer's perspective, is to show this is how you can portray that, where you do not have to have bad, evil family members who are ugly to everybody. They can be loving and there still be conflict. Because I feel like sometimes Western storytelling forgets, like, let's stop making everybody good and evil. It can just be misunderstandings or just a conflict in perspective, but love can help find a bridge.
Like one of the things, and it's a little bit of a spoiler, but you'll have to figure it out how it actually works out.
Yes.
For, what is this, a 25, 27-year-old story?
Spoiler.
Is that the Taiwanese parents both actually...
We're really ruining this story. I cannot believe you're going to ruin it.
But they both they both separately eventually figure out about their son.
Right. Because they love him. They actually are trying to see him for who he is.
And for the sake of the other spouse, they both tell everyone that they're fine with it, they will work with this, but don't tell the other spouse. And so they just...
Which is kind of interesting because we actually saw that among our mother and her husband, our stepfather, of like, they both were like, don't tell the other. And when the mom died, a couple years later, we started talking and like, why do they keep this information from each other when they both were on board with this, but they had these ideas about each other?
Yes.
But it was out of love, so, it still worked out okay.
Yeah, it's not any kind of malice or anything. It is out of love that they're like, but please still protect the other one. Right. I know I'm fine. I don't know if the other one would be okay with it.
Right, and we don't want disharmony because a family needs a certain level of harmony to function at meals, at holidays, at births and deaths. The usual. And that's, I think, one of the things, like, after Big Trouble in Little China, which really showed, like, Asian storytelling can be super fun and fantastic, and you can have monsters and, demigods, practically. You can have fun stuff. Then, like, literally, like, I don't know, a year or two after I originally saw Big Trouble in Little China and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And Mortal Kombat, the game. I then saw the Ang Lee movies. At first, I think the first one I actually saw, I don't actually remember which one I first saw, was either Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, and then The Wedding Banquet. It was like...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we saw Eat, Drink, Man, Woman first, because, I mean, we had a love of food movies.
Oh, there's so much food preparation in Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. If you love food, this is the movie to watch.
There is so much food porn in this movie.
Oh, it's delightful.
Gratuitous close-up shots of food.
So good. I want to eat every last bit of it. I want to eat through the whole movie. It's wonderful. But yeah, like, I think I saw both movies, though, in the same year. So probably, like, 94, when I was still, like, I was a very young, barely a teenager, if even a teenager. And it was so refreshing to see here is a way to have conflict in a story about family where everyone still loves each other. Because so many times it seems like Western stories, if they have a family drama, it's like you really do question, well, does so-and-so even love everybody else? Why are they such a jerk? Versus that is not how Asian storytelling is, at least about family dramas. it is like often or most of the time it's very clear everybody loves each other, but they are trying to figure that middle ground so that they can have something like harmony. And I could relate to that because, oh yeah, you better believe, how many times did my mother try to explain to me that liking kissing girls was just a phase? That everybody feels that way about their best friends. It's okay. I can't tell you how many times my mother told me that about a decade of this. And I'm like, Mom, I don't think it's a phase. It's been a decade. So,
what was that line you were talking about? Two people is a phase, 2 years.
2 times. 2 times is a phase. 2 years is a lifestyle. You've now committed to this lifestyle. I mean, almost every sleepover I ever had involved kissing in closets. So, for practice. And there was my mother who kept telling me, like, oh, honey, it's just a phase. You'll grow out of it. Don't worry. You're normal. Everyone feels that way about their best friends. Really? Mom, maybe there's some things we need to talk about. Yeah.
She did not take the follow-up years later, when she had not been doing as well, about your comment about all of her friends.
Oh, well, I was being kind of catty. I was in my early 20s, in fairness, and I was being kind of catty to my mother because I'm sure everybody understands. It gets frustrating when you're trying to tell your parents who you really are, and they keep saying, no, I know the definition of you, and it is not this. And you're like, I swear to you, this really is me. And they're like, no, I know you better than that. And it's like, and so I was being catty, and I said, because she said, you grow out of it. I don't feel that way about my friends anymore. And I said, well, I've seen your friends, and they're ugly old cows, so I can understand why you don't feel like kissing them. And
That's so
slapped me on the arm so bad it left a mark. But honestly, I said, I knew I had that coming. I mean, I was being catty.
Versus, her friends before, like...
Yeah, when I was a child, I used to love sitting on the floor while Mom would chat with her friends. A friend would come over for a visit, and I'd sit on the floor and I'd just admire their beautiful shoes. How pretty their ankles were. And, that was not true of my mother's friends in her late 50s or 60s. Sorry, but I know they're not watching. So, anyway. Let's see. Yes, Charlie says, "Love Hero." The movie is so good. It is so amazingly good. Definitely so good. Yes. Thank you. I feel that on so many levels about talking about these movies. That is why I started watching. Oh, I'm gonna have to pronounce something.
Kishoten Ketsu.
The problem is the syllables. Because not all tension is conflict, not all conflict is villainy. Thank you, exactly. That is something I really want, like, Western storytellers to understand. Not all conflict is villainy. MM says, if holiday meals don't have drama, it isn't real family. Exactly, thank you so much. You get it. Yes, let's all sign up for all the food porn. Oh, the food looks so good. I knew since my middle was 8, she was a lesbian. How do parents not know? I know for real. How do they not know? Yes, loving denial. That's apparently how they... Because parents sometimes, insist on their definition of people, their child, their offspring. It's like there's not quite that disconnect. Like as if the umbilical cord is still attached or something. When they are their own unique people.
We sometimes tell the story of the year of the My Buddy doll.
Oh, the battle that went on in our family, and it eventually became a gender war in some weird sort of way, except Tom wasn't involved in it.
Wait, what was wrong with the Buddy doll?
Oh, Daddy. Okay.
So, do you remember the commercials and stuff for the My Buddy doll, along with Kid's sister?
My buddy, wherever you go, I'm gonna go, my buddy. Oh,
it was essentially a Cabbage Patch doll that acted as a pseudo friend for you to go do activities with.
Okay, yeah. what was wrong with that?
And
So
I had a Cabbage Patch doll.
so I was a sensitive child growing up. I did not have enough markers of masculinity in my father's mind.
He wasn't butch as a child. He's very butch now, but he was not butch back then.
And
He's a
so
very sweet boy.
my father really had this fear, an honest to goodness fear, that me having a doll would actually be sort of the straw that broke the camel's back and make me gay.
Emasculating him into.
Oh my god!
Apparently.
So my
Like, it's so weird. Like, caring for a little doll
So
would make
so
him
what it became was this year-long argument between him
in our family.
and the women in his family.
We're like, dolls do not make you, love men, because not all women who love dolls and children love men.
And it was not just my sister and my mother, it was also his mother who get on this.
Buy the My Buddy doll for Tom so that it wasn't even a financial issue. I was like, absolutely not, I will burn this doll. It was insane. The homophobia, the fear. Because, let's be honest, Dad was at the very least bisexual.
Yes.
But he was trying so hard to, conform to society. There are people who internalize the homophobia so much, and this was definitely one of those cases.
Oh, I got a lot of it from him.
Yeah.
So, when my kids were really small, I was going to school on campus, and then their dad, who I'm not married to anymore, was like, "Oh, how was school day?" And so I was telling him about this class. I think it was like a human sexuality class, and I said, "Oh, there was a study we learned that said that more birth defects and more birth defects are present in boys than girls when they're born, because to go from a blank slate to a boy, more changes have to happen in the body than a girl." He's like, okay. And so I'm like explaining it more. And I said, and it's also weirdly, oddly, strangely coincidental that more boys than girls later on end up being like gay or lesbian or bisexual or whatnot. And he's like, are you saying my boy, because I was pregnant with my boy at the time, he's like, are you saying my boy's gonna be gay? I'm like, oh my god, no. And then
how did we get from A to Z here?
Yeah. Where was that connection?
I don't know. And then so Jackson,
with one exception. There is one exception. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. So I ended up watching this like 2.5 hour video lecture by a doctor on how to address trans patients. And how to, and he's ended up having, like, in 4 months he's taken on 1,500 patients because so few doctors will handle trans patients. And he was saying, like, the anecdotal evidence of stuff he's come across. One of them was, if you had a male child and were given, I can't remember the name of the drug, but it was for morning sickness. Not morning sickness.
No,
sorry.
to retain the baby,
to retain the baby.
Of having a spontaneous miscarriage, they gave him this drug.
It was a form essentially of super estrogen. He's like, just about everyone who got exposed to that, if there was a boy, they're at least bi, if not just straight gay. Like, those
By the way, Tom did post a link to that in Charlie's Discord.
Okay.
So, but it isn't like a 2-hour long video. I mean, you don't have to watch all of it at once, but it is rather, it's packed. It's sort of like his life lecture about everything he's learned in treating trans patients for several years since. And the
effects of hormones and body chemistry on the body and what it does. It's amazing, but it was fascinating part of. It's the only thing he noticed. Like, nothing else really had any relation.
Gay or bisexual or queer or whatever, except this one thing.
And then when my boy was, I want to say he was like 2 or so. Okay,
right.
He's the youngest in the family. He has 2 older sisters, so he's gonna like not always play with trucks and not always play with building blocks. He's gonna play with a doll. He's gonna hold that doll. He's gonna like lug it around. Exactly. He might even like be attached to his.
Is it me or Stephanie?
I think Stephanie froze up.
The internet gremlins are back. Somebody quickly make this small blood sacrifice.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're
Am
back
I
now.
here? Okay.
You are here.
So I was like, that boy, he liked playing with Illy, like the other two girls, like kitchen supplies and like
Sure.
cooking kitchen and the dolls and the, in addition to trucks, he also was attached to Ileana's like olive green skirt that she outgrew. It had like pink stitches, and he's like, "You're gonna make him gay." I'm like, "Oh, you can't make any." Can like a boy beat you up and make you gay? Like, no, that's not how it works. I'm like,
I wanted a Tonka truck so bad, so Tom got the Tonka truck. Guess who took the Tonka truck? Oh yeah, but what did I want the Tonka truck for? For the coolest, most badass bus for all of my dolls. Okay, like, I mean, as I said, I was the butch one in our family, but I was butch in like pink and purple dresses. Okay, like I was like, that little girl, like her, but like in a dress with pretty frilly shoes.
I've always told, like, even my husband now, I always said, if any of my kids grew up and they are not the norm,
right?
Whatever, I don't care. Like, as long as they're happy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, as long as
they're practicing safe cuddling. Let's go with cuddling.
Let's say cuddling, because they're at that age, they might hear you, and let's just call it
cuddling.
Sincere cuddling.
Yes.
There. At least we're working on vocabulary.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure my youngest boy is not going to end up being gay just because of how he reacts to pretty girls in pictures.
Oh,
movies.
wow. He is already, the puberty is already sort of trickling in, huh?
And he's only 7. You know.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I never understood why my father was worried.
Tom was never. Now, and I'm going to tell you, like, the homophobia went further because when I was like, what was I, like 4? Yeah, no, I was 4. Mom and Dad put me in a program at the local university where they were attending school. They were in college. For, what is, like, the nice way to call, like, to de-gay people? And there was therapy, and there were like mild electrical shocks. It was allowed to do that with toddlers. This was the 80s.
It was a different time.
And then there was therapy stuff. I remember the longest time on the refrigerator, there was a set of phrases that Mom and Dad were supposed to say all of these phrases to me at least once per day, every single day. And it was like, girls are boring. Boys are fun. And what happened, the reason I got into this was because my brother, this kid, had been born. He was born when I was 3. And Mom breastfed him just like she breastfed me. And I was absolutely fascinated that, wait, we can feed a baby with our body? Like, this is a thing? And then I found out, like, boys can't do that, only girls. And I was like, what? Because before that, they had really been preaching this whole equality thing of like, boys and girls are the same. Everything is fine. And then it was suddenly like, oh, boys and girls are not the same. Because if boys can't feed babies with their bodies, I have to investigate this as the little 4-year-old scientist that I was. And I was absolutely fascinated by women's breasts. And that was how my parents, my father in particular, but also my mother, interpreted this as, oh God, what if she becomes a lesbian? And they sent me to this experimental program at the local university to fix any queer ways. Well, guess what? Number 1, it did not work. And number 2, I still to this day do prefer the friendship of men. And I think it's probably because of the brainwashing of like, oh, I do prefer the company of men. They are more fun and more interesting, and I'm more comfortable with them. But did that affect my sexuality? Not at all. It did affect my friendship because that is apparently more negotiable. But it did not affect my sexuality at all because that hadn't happened yet. At 4 years old, I did not have. I mean, I thought both men and women were pretty. All right, all right. So maybe that sexuality was already there. I thought men and women were both quite pretty at 4. But yeah, so there was all sorts of. In fairness, our parents were much older than most everybody else's parents. Like our father was born in 1940, and he was definitely of an older generation that had what we would definitely say is not more modern views at all. But nevertheless, this is still the same man who tried to convince me when I was 15 of maybe you should just be a lesbian at least till you graduate college. And I was like, excuse me, what? So that I wouldn't get pregnant. He said, look, pregnancy will ruin a woman's life. So maybe you should just only date girls and women until at least till you graduate college. And then if you want to date men, you can. I swear to God, he gave me this lecture, and then Mom gave me this lecture, and I was 15 for both of these. And I thought they both knew about it, and they were both doing this. I didn't find out till after Dad died that Mom had no clue that Dad had ever given me this, like, coaching about you should really look into women because you can't get pregnant that way. And Mom had already given me this lecture too on the same thing. And she's like, your father, after all that homophobia rants he gave me, because I guess she thought she was being the real rebel. Again, I can relate a lot to these whole Taiwanese storytelling now, if you think about it. Like, it's very personally relatable. So I would like to recommend that everybody study this for storytelling if they're not already familiar with it. But by the way, I do not want to forget, where is it? CB has joined us. Hello, sweetie. How is it going? Did you ever find out how the rotation was going to get planned for your help? Can't remember the words. MM says, you know what a helicopter mom is? I am that kind of mom. I love the kids. Have a really long leash and lots of freedom. So I'm more of a stealth recon mom who can become a stealth bomber mom. You know what? I think that's far more humane. The stealth part. At least gives them the illusion of independence while you make sure that nothing bad happens. Because let's be honest, some kids are just accident prone. Whether it's with their heart, their mind, or their body, they're accident prone. But yes, CB has joined us. So glad to have you, darling. And M says, that was such a thing in that generation in the South, and the stereotypes are so great. It is absolutely true. Absolutely right. Tom said, I was so surprised when I grew up how much of my away from home life my mother actually knew about. I made sure it's true. I mean, I didn't realize either, but my mom was reading my diary every couple days. I never realized because she was actually really good at stalking. Can't imagine how I got so many stalkers in my late teens and early 20s. Anyway, must have felt familiar. CB says, I finished my poster, which is why I changed my avatar. Awesome! That's fantastic. I do agree. MM sounds like a good mom.
Yeah.
Right. MM says my girls and their friends think so, but I'll be honest, I'm just working my butt off to not meet my parents. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Let's see. Yes, I agree. I agree. Hooking children, toddlers up to electrodes for any reason, no matter how mild, is barbaric in the very concept of it. Yeah, I eventually met powers that be at the university because I eventually attended the same university, and and I got a degree in psychology department, by the way. And I told the chair about that, and they actually went and like found a secret door that had been like drywall covered, that had records for a lot of people who had experienced the homosexual re-education program or something. I can't remember what it was officially called. And because this chair of the department did not know about it, he went and talked to some older people who had retired, and he found out where the secret door is that had the secret files in it, and they destroyed those files so that nobody could ever be blackmailed for it, which I thought was very humane, considering you can't fix the past, but you can at least fix people's potential being open to people being negative about it. I don't know what the words are. I don't have words anymore. Learning from your parents as a child and trying not to make the same mistakes with you, their mistakes with you shows you are definitely an excellent parent. I agree. All you can do is do your best. Yes, it is called brainwashing. I could definitely relate to stories about POW's experiences. I remember when my high school best friend tried to come out to his parents literally on his deathbed from AIDS, and his father was still certain he had gotten it from drugs. Yes. The 80s were a crazy time. It is so true. You're absolutely right. Tom says humans have this amazing thing where they will not process anything that doesn't fit with their worldview and not store the memory of knowledge. It is amazing to watch. It is. Carly says, I just finished my overly cheese game/novel announcement trailer. I am so giggly happy right now. Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I can't wait to watch it. CB says, yeah, eventually my review has been planned for the 7th of December. Fantastic. I definitely think some people need to be reviewed on the rotation of how they treat CB. Yes, we cannot wait to see Charlie's trailer. I want to post it now, but it will be out Thursday. Okay, so we will mark our calendars. It's Thursday somewhere in the time. Can you see? MM Ward gets it. CB says I got my second magnetic board today, which is awesome.
Oh, those are fun.
Right. So, it is now 5:14 our time. What do we want to do? How are we doing, everybody?
Okay. Do we have any other movies and stuff we want to talk about?
Well, we talked a little bit about the action films, which does have a bit of different storytelling. And we talked a bit about the more family-oriented or intergenerational family stories. And we never were able to get our own copy of A Letter to Momo to watch. So I still haven't watched this movie.
Although now having watched, several other Taiwanese stories, I'm definitely... It is now... it does feel very... What I now guess just think of as a Confucius family drama story.
Right. Well, that was what I read on the Wikipedia article. That's what it described it.
I was actually thinking more of maybe we talk about the Monkey King.
Oh, my favorite trickster character of all time. I mean, I do love Loki, and I actually enjoy some of the stories of Tokoloshi from Africa, although some of them are quite scary too. But my favorite trickster god of all time is the Monkey King, Wukong Sun. And what do you want to talk about the Monkey King?
Well, first, why don't you just mention why you like the Monkey King? What is it about them that makes them a bit different among the trickster gods?
So, with most trickster gods, there's often in the stories an element of cruelty. Not necessarily that the characters who are treated cruelly don't necessarily have it coming. They don't in some way deserve it. I mean, I will agree that many of them do. But nevertheless, the cruelty can be a bit off-putting. I don't necessarily even always agree with the cruelty. However, with the Monkey King, it is very, very rare for there to be any element of cruelty. There's often an element of mischievousness, but most of the time there's more joy and compassion. Like the Monkey King is happy to forgive people who are genuinely sorry for the mistakes, the errors they've made. Rather than in some of the other trickster god stories from around the world, even when the person sees the error of their ways, they still are dealt with quite cruelly. And so it's as if justice doesn't matter, which I know justice is a bit of a construct, except in our brains where it is real. But I do, and that is what I like Wukong Sun for, is that there's more compassion in the Monkey King stories than in many of the other trickster god stories. As well as just the joyfulness, the silliness.
I mean, it's always going to be a fun show in just about any story that the Monkey King shows up in.
Tom gave me this. This is the human incarnation of Wukong Sun. You can't see the cape actually glitters. Somebody made this at one of the local Chinese restaurants. And when he went to go pick up our order, the woman who answered the phone was sculpting these, and it's a pen. And he got that for me because Monkey King gifts are the one thing that I'm happy to receive all gifts. Even though many other gifts I have I know it can be difficult to buy for. I always love Monkey King stuff. So.
But yeah, and also just the pantheon in mythology in East Asia is just very different. Their concept of how gods behave and act is nothing like Western or even Indian very, very strongly.
That is true. And the Monkey King is actually like believed to be originally from the Indian pantheon of the monkey, god, the god of wind there, and that it was brought to China through Buddhist monks' storytelling, and then went back. Hence the whole journey to the west, or journey west story from, I believe, the 1600s.
Yeah, something like that.
MM says, how do you feel about the Joy Luck Club and the attempt to present Chinese family culture to Americans? What I actually think, personally, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I think that Chinese families in particular, and there's a lot more cultures in Asia than just China, but Chinese families are as diverse as the number of families that exist. So it's a good start, is what I actually think about the Joy Luck Club book. And even the movie portrayal to a certain degree, it's one storytelling about one family, or one version.
I've always been surprised at how much this one movie gets held up for
impossible standards.
Yeah, as like this, this entirely summarizes this whole group of people, versus it's a good movie in this sort of small niche genre, but that Ong Lee also has movies in. Alice Wu wrote another one for Saving Face, is also another one. And actually even Dim Sum Funeral, if it ever shows up anywhere for people can watch.
Right.
Also shows another side of this story.
Because it's all of these movies that we just mentioned are about Chinese families living in America and trying to live in American culture too, because there are parts of American culture that they do enjoy adopting or feel it's necessary to adopt. So again, how do they, negotiate that modern American lifestyle and belief system with Confucius family lifestyle belief system? This is where the conflict automatically is. And I think it's fun. And I mean, I'll admit, the first time I watched it, I was a teenager, and it was a 4 hanky movie. And I only cried once reading Little Women. But 4 hankies. I mean, because I could absolutely relate to the emotionally withholding mother and the daughter who just wants a little validate. Oh, yes. It rang several bells for me. And you know what? Honestly, seeing that portrayed, because I really hadn't seen that portrayed in any movies up to that point for me personally, it helped make me feel like, okay, it's not just me who feels this way. Other people do too. This has enough validity that a writer wrote about it, and then enough people made a movie together and they also portrayed this. So maybe it's not just me who has a mother who doesn't want to get close.
It does, though, also bring up something else we noticed, especially in these stories, that is fascinating to us, because we don't actually see this in many of the other East Asian cultures.
Sure.
In the movies, but there is such a striking similarity in the Chinese mothers and the stereotypes they have for how Chinese mothers act, and Jewish mothers.
Oh my goodness, it is so interesting.
They're 2 very different cultures, and yet we have just such a strong Venn diagram similarity with this one mother set. I mean, to me, the only real difference between the Taiwanese and Chinese version of these stories and the Jewish version of these stories is there would be more punchline jokes in the Jewish version. Other than that, now that's pretty much exactly how I expect each to play out. Of the how do you respect and not leave behind your family with their old traditions, as you, the young one, pick up these new traditions that are so different and incongruous with your family's views and beliefs.
Exactly. I mean, I really, since our mother was Jewish, I could absolutely relate to, there are other mothers like this, because where we are in the Deep South, there are no other mothers like our mother. She was second generation immigrant family from Eastern Europe, and Nobody around here is like that. And so to finally see any kind of mother similar to behaving the way our mother did in family situations was revelatory for me, because I definitely did not feel so alone. And that's again why I want to encourage writers and storytellers to really kind of expand out their encyclopedic knowledge of how to tell a variety of kinds of stories, so that they can find out what are those narratives that they can get a hook on of how to relay this to their readers, their listeners, their viewers, whatever, so that there will be more people coming up who are like, oh, finally, I found somebody who's portraying the kind of family, the kind of experiences that I've had, because many children feel so alone. And that is a terrible feeling to feel, especially when you're a young person and you don't have enough experience to know, no matter how you feel, there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who feel similar. When you're a kid, when you're even a teenager, you just don't know that because you haven't had enough experience necessarily. And so it's so lovely when you stumble across a story that you can absolutely relate to. Before I go further, I just want to point out that, nope, not this one. Eva's here. Hey, darling. Made it. It's so nice to see you. I did not want to forget. Let's see, where are we? MM says, I want a movie about the Spider Women. Oh, again, more pronouncing. Jorong? No, I'm not. Nope, I do not know about. Is this? I'm assuming this is Scandinavian.
I believe this was it. Jorogumo.
Okay. So, Japanese? Jorogumo? God. What's up? Because phonemes are wild, y'all. Ever since I had a Korean family that was good friends, he hated it, but his sister loved it, and Season of the Lantern. However, the stereotype of the Korean granny beating with her slipper, totes blood, yes. Also, the Filipino granny eating with her chunklata. That's a real thing, and I've seen grown men run from a granny with a chunklata in her hand. Of course, it actually kind of felt empowering even to watch that, of like, see, do not treat her with disrespect. It was nice. Let's see, I love the book more than I assume about Joy Luck Club, yes. I love the hummingbirds, yes. Yes, long live Monarch Eva. Oh, there, I know it. It skipped again. Why are you like this, StreamYard? MM says the invisible wife resonated with me because I was in that kind of marriage where the husband just assumed I would always do what he wanted. Preach it! There's a reason I have an ex-husband. Woo! Boy, did I know how to pick him. My family experience would be boring to see, but I think. You know, you'd think so, but you'd be surprised. Because I always felt like nobody's interested in how our family dynamics work. But like when we start actually telling stories about our family, and not just the electrodes, but the other things too, people seem interested. So I'm going to say there's room enough for everybody's stories. I mean, readers are voracious. They want to consume the stories that resonate with them. And that's a good thing. Any mothers with a single mother who didn't date?
And then the next line.
Didn't date
Next line.
Keep going.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Children with a single mother who didn't date in movies. Well.
Next one.
What's the plot? Okay. Saving Face is actually a story I would recommend if you are looking for that story, because there is this great dynamic between the daughter, I think is about 27, 28. She's a surgeon, a medical surgeon. And did I break up?
Yeah, but
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay. In Saving Face, the daughter is like 27, 28, somewhere in there. She's a surgeon, a resident, and her mother is 48. And the daughter's father, the mother's husband, died when the daughter was young. It sounded like when she was like a toddler or elementary school. and the mother had to raise her as a single mom and did not date until there is an inciting event. It is an excellent story. Highly recommend it. It is on Amazon Prime if you have Prime. And if not, at a certain point, talk to us privately, and we can get something.
Actually, we even talked about in watching Saving Face of this was definitely a story that Alice Wu set to tell about this daughter, and was dead set on it because if you really watch it, the mother has the more interesting story, but she stays as a secondary.
I really like the mother's story in Saving Face more than the daughter's story, which I just thought it was more complex and interesting.
Yeah.
Like, not like, oh, well, I like the mother better. Although the actress they cast her is quite beautiful. That's not why I liked it better. I liked it better because it's more complex, it's interesting, and I think there's more emotionally resilient people in that story versus young people's story. They're a bit more dysfunctional. They're young. They've got a bunch of baggage. Hey, darling.
Hey.
They've got a bunch of baggage, and they are not processing their, emotional baggage in the story. But the older people are, so that one out. It is an interesting movie to watch, and as I said, it's 2 hours. It's so easy to consume. Let's see. Thomas Wright, Chinese. CB says First Wives Club, but that's kind of off topic. Still, though, let's talk about that. Halmony was a slipper ninja. A slipper ninja. That just sounds like so much fun. I came in with the topic of family dynamics related to the reader pretty on top. It is true. You're absolutely right. Until dun 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 love. Yes, I love dysfunction. It is fun. Let's see. Oh, all of a sudden. Slipper stars are dangerous weapons. Oh, wait, what? Well, I guess you could throw a slipper.
Well, let's say slipper ninjas. I just figured it was, slippers were the weapons.
I mean, I'm very interested to learn more. Stephanie? You got anything that you want to talk with me?
No, I'm learning a lot. I actually haven't watched a lot of the movies. I mean, I've watched The First Wives Club, of course, because that's a hilarious movie. I think it's funny.
Right.
I've watched it a few times. It's
you
good.
You don't own me.
Right?
You don't own me.
It's a good movie. I liked it. I don't think my husband's seen it yet, though, but that's okay. We're good with that.
So I did want to mention again how, let's see if it will let me, let's find out what's going on. Nope. Darn you, Amazon. I did want to mention, again, just for everybody who's come a little later, that Stephanie has a book baby. And we are very proud. And we just want to point out, if you don't know, there's a book baby for us all to appreciate.
It is called Tears of Yesterday. It is inspired by real life stuff that I witnessed, participated in. Yes, there you go. And it's available. It's available on Amazon paperback, Kindle, also available on iBooks, Kobo, and a couple of other ebook vendors as well.
Yay!
Yes, there you go. It is $3.99 ebook or $9.99 paperback.
And we are very proud and happy to be part of Stephanie's book tour this week.
I feel like all I've done is talk about it this week. And then even right, but then even when I'm not,
it feels proud. Look, I made a baby. Here we are. Right,
right, right. No, that's true.
To be proud. I have a baby, everybody.
And this Saturday I should be getting the actual books. I ordered a few books for myself, so this Saturday I should have actual real books to say, look. Oh wait, look at my book right here on my
Right,
hand. 'cause-
exactly. You can like say,
There you
"Hey,
go.
look, the book is lovely."
There you go.
Yes.
I can't do this camera thing.
You know what? With practice, everybody gets better.
Oh.
See, I'm learning like angles because this is not. It looks right. It does not. It's not actually right. You have to practice.
There you go.
And
Like,
with
oh wait!
practice,
Don't look at my
all
dirty
gets
kitchen.
better. Yeah,
We saw nothing.
like the equivalent. Yeah, but yeah. So, anyhow, so we are very happy and proud to be part of Stephanie's book tour. And let's see what else we got. Let's see. There's business. So, you think that after all of these years, these weeks, I would actually be prepared, but you, my darlings, would be a little bit mistaken. So, next Monday's episode will be about election movies.
Like
Monday before election, and even if you don't live in America, you've probably been unwillingly keeping up on this.
would like Air Force One be an election movie?
I actually don't remember. It's been so long since.
No, that one's just that's
we
just
do
shooting
have
down the
one.
president.
Right.
Okay.
That's fair.
Would that one movie where that actress, she's like short red hair and she's dating the American president, would that be a election movie? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do remember the movie vaguely. Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, it has been solid decades since I watched that one.
I think that does because it does take place during the president's re-election.
Here's what I think. If it involves an election, it's an election movie.
Right.
If it involves any election, it's an election movie. So,
okay, all right.
If you would
American
like to come back next Monday to discuss the election movies you've watched and what you think of storytelling with election as a plot device, please, you are welcome, as are everybody else, if you would like to be on screen. I'm very open to that. And we'll send you a StreamYard link if you let me know. The ones that we thought of when we were brainstorming this last night. We literally changed what we were going to go over this election movie. Distinguished Gentleman, who remembers the movie with Eddie Murphy in it? Head of State, who remembers the movie with Chris Rock in it? Wag the Dog.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
John Cusack and I want to say Dustin Hoffman are in that one.
Yes.
Welcome to Mooseport with Gene Hackman and Ray Romano. And I don't remember other people in it. And then Primary Colors, which I want to say, is that the one with John Travolta?
Yeah.
And somebody, I can almost see the cover. And then Bulworth with, what's his name? He was married to Annette Bening. Maybe he still is. Older. He was in Shampoo.
I don't know.
I feel like I'm playing a really weird game of Taboo.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Right.
It's like, it's not Newman.
Beatty?
Yeah.
Warren
Beatty.
Warren
Beatty.
Warren Beatty. We'll eventually get there. Welcome to the Awkward Sibling Game. Where we're two people and we have almost a whole brain between us. So, we're going to talk about election and how they can actually be fun plot stories, plot devices to use in your storytelling. Because, there are some movies, and I mean, there are political ones, pretty much, it's Jack Ryan in it, it's probably an election. At least, half of all the Jack Ryan stories involve somebody's re-election. But, I mean, personally, I find that they kind of drag. They're not my favorite. They're supposed to be political intrigue, but frankly, it just seems like it just drags a lot. There's over explanations of things. Versus these are essentially the election movies that we're we'd be willing to watch that again. And
that's pretty much our requirement for this whole series.
Watch it again.
Is would you watch the movie more than once? Because for these Asian movies, we left out a lot because we're not looking for award winners. We're looking for Saturday afternoon movies.
You just enjoy watching again and again. You can watch with your friends. You can watch with your family. You just enjoy watching again. With anybody. Because I think, like, when it comes to storytelling, that tells you what is more compelling. Is not the one-time story. I mean, there are some books. I'm not normally somebody who likes to read a book more than once, but there are some books that I have read like 6 times because I just want to go back there so often. And I think that is really what tells you what is a classic, what could be a classic. What is the story that stands the test of time? Because it's very readable or rewatchable again and again. So those are the kind of stories that we're trying to talk about for this season of getting excited about movies. Anyhow, I do want to mention, if you haven't already, I think everybody here has subscribed and clicked like, but if you haven't, and you enjoyed this, and you had a good time with us, please consider also, later, there will be a link to Stephanie's channel, unless somebody with the wrench has the link to Stephanie's channel. In the chat. I'm like,
let's see.
Anybody?
I don't know who's left. I don't know who's here that has a wrench.
Oh, I will give a wrench to anybody if they've already got the link.
Well, Eva's got one.
Well, I mean, but she's got it. She may be with kids. No.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, actually, she finally gets a moment off from the kids.
And Stephanie. Oh, I found it. Yep, there. Stephanie has 94 subscribers. She is so close, y'all. Just throwing that out there. So close. There will, however, on the replay, there will be a link to Stephanie's channel in the description. If I had thought about it earlier during the breaks, I probably should put that in there. If only I hadn't been working
on hindsight.
Oh, what is that? I don't know. Oh, hindsight? Is that like magic? That's magic, isn't it? That's a magic.
And, you know, to be fair, I didn't know I was going to hop on to your guys' stream today until like 15 minutes before the stream.
Right. Well, you know.
There's that, too.
There's that.
You know, you still showed up with more than 30 seconds to spare.
See? Doing great.
That's true. I was able to watch Glory put her face together.
Right, yeah. I think I was like still putting on eyeliner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I am getting faster at this, so that's cool. And if anybody has any other live streams or other shows streaming this week on YouTube, please let us know in the in the live stream, the chat. Of course, Charlie says on Thursday their trailer is coming out. Stephanie, you got anything coming up? Are you showing up anywhere else? That you know? Not
anywhere else. I think to either later tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to go either live on YouTube or Instagram and announce the winner of my signed paperback copy.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then I think Charlie's going to have Wednesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern live streams. I think so.
You're still doing that, Charlie, right? Yeah?
Charlie's somewhere. Charlie's floating in the ether. And I don't know who else has got stuff, because it seems like a lot of people's schedules have kind of gotten churned up with between Preptober and Nano coming up. That's what I'm going to say the reason is, and not, the depressing nature of the American election system.
Right.
I'm not saying that. You can think it all you want, but I would never ever say that.
He said 6 on Wednesday and 5 on Friday. Charlie.
Oh, okay. Okay. 6 on Wednesday, 5 on Friday. Yes, Friday, the forever stream. Truly a test of endurance.
Yes, Charlie gets complaints when it's when it's just 7 hours.
What? Why are people like this? Some people have to sleep. Some of us have succeeded at having 2 naps and going to bed before Charlie's stream on Fridays is over. True story. That was Friday. I literally got 2 naps in inadvertently because I didn't realize I was falling asleep. I got 2-hour-long naps, so 2 hours of naps, and then still went to sleep before the stream had ended. I needed rest. I don't know what was going on.
Who's tapping me on the shoulder? Right?
Why, yes, how dare ye? No link? Oh, Eva, we have disappointed you. I am so sorry. Also, sharing, yes, MM, are you sharing? Let's see, did we, where, all right. MM, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a wrench. You just post the links you want to post. I don't know what's going on. Nothing means nothing. Okay. Let's see. Also, there is a meteor flying by on November 14th and 29th.
Package.
Is that the one that was supposed to destroy the world? Okay.
Yes. Next included hashtags.
And Monarch Eva's birthday is on the 8th. Yes, I wasn't it MM and Charlie who had to change their stories that they wrote years ago. But I trust that MM has changed their story because I have things to do, darling. I cannot have the world end. Yes, and vote. Please vote. Please vote. Please vote. So, yes.
Oh, that's
I do get DMs about it when it is short. Oh, Charlie, people need to like be more loving because like people gotta sleep.
smoking.
TV is, exempted from any suggestion of voting in the American election. Let's just go ahead and say what is should be obvious to everybody.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you all for coming. Please consider liking and subscribing if you've actually made it this far in the rebroadcast. God bless you. And again, let me mention, Tom's laptop is like literally limping along in life. It is 12 years old, so if you happen to know anybody who happens to have a few extra dollars to buy coffee and would like to prefer to do something good with their money, please consider donating a coffee to the Tom Needs a Laptop Fund. All my money will go to Tom's laptop this way. We're going to bring that laptop into the 2020. See you all. Love you. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you next Monday as well. We'll be here again at 4 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye, darlings.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.